During our Ukraine specials, we did an interview with Andrii Telizhenko. He was the former advisor to the Prosecutor General of Ukraine. He was also a former advisor to the first deputy prime minister of Ukraine. He had a lot of inside information, and we did an interview with him, a long-form interview. You can find it on the Glenn Beck podcast, wherever you find podcast, or you can go to blazetv.com and find that podcast. He is a Ukrainian national who is a patriot who found himself in the middle of, really one of the biggest scandals in American history when it comes to a vice president and a president using another country to try to destroy a presidential candidate. And we're not talking about Donald Trump doing this. We're talking about Barack Obama and Joe Biden. Well, since all of this is blown over, there are people that are actually saying, you know what, we're not going to give up. And Ron Johnson is one of them, the senator from Wisconsin. He had everything lined up yesterday for a vote to call Andrii Telizhenko as a witness. In fact, he was on his way from New York. He was on the train yesterday when we talked to him off air. And he said, I've got new documents. I have all this stuff. And they're finally going to listen. And then at the last minute, for some reason, and look it up, Stu, but I'll bet you Romney. It fell apart at the last minute. So they didn't subpoena him. We want to spend 15 minutes with him, 10 minutes with him right now. We're going to hopefully do a long, non-interrupted, long-form interview with him here in the next couple of days. But this is something you need to pay attention to because this, as we've said for the last year, must be exposed. Welcome, Andrii Telizhenko. How are you, sir?
Hi, Greg. All good. How are you?
Very good. Thank you so much for being on with us. I want to just... I got to move rather rapidly today because of all the other news that is breaking. But can you give us a hint of why what you have to share is so important? You were on your way yesterday to Washington, expected to testify right away. There was just one vote that was expected to be very easily in the favor of testimony, and it fell apart at the last minute. Do you know why it fell apart?
I know it's to the Senate to decide what to do and what not to do. I'm a foreign citizen, but what I know is that there was one senator, a Republican, who backed out of the vote, and there were not enough votes to get their vote.
Was it Ron? Do you know who it was?
I don't want to comment on that. I think you, as journalists, can make that the attention of the people.
Okay.
And I think it will be not professional from my side if I do that.
Let me just say, I have absolutely no information on this, but my gut says Romney. Cough if that's wrong and if it's right and you don't have the coronavirus. Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought. All right. So you don't go to testify, but you have some really important new information. There is a company called Blue Star Strategies, and we didn't really know this. You were hired by Blue Star Strategies, which was a company, an American company that had been hired to improve the image of Burisma and trying to get all of the investigations to be dropped. Is that true?
Yes, that's correct. They're a Washington lobby swamp firm. They are the owners of the firm. Karen Tramontano and Sally Painter are Karen is the former deputy chief of staff to Bill Clinton, and Sally Painter is a former advisor to Bill Clinton when he was president. And they are connected with Hillary, and their employees right now work with the Biden campaign team. So they are the firm that is working with the Democrats, and they are still consulting today, Burisma, and are lobbying for them today, even then they're not registered.
So they approached you, and they wanted to enlist your help. And at the time, I assume you didn't think there was anything nefarious about it?
Yeah, they approached me when I was working in the embassy in Washington as a diplomat to arrange for them meetings with the Prosecutor General's office, with the top prosecutor of Ukraine, and I arranged meetings with that office a couple of times, and then they asked me if I want to work for them. I said, sure, I'll consult you. So lobby firm, I did not think it was something different at that time.
Yeah.
Washington, American lobby firm, I think it's good for my reputation. And I did my job for a year with them. And I didn't want to talk about them before. We only spoke last time about Chalupa
Yep.
and other events of the Ukrainian government. But after they started to threaten me, and after they started to say that if Biden becomes president, he won't be welcome to the United States and other events, I started to think I will go with this because it might not end well. So that's why I'm talking about them today. And I have emails, communications with Blue Star Strategies throughout the time I worked for them, before and after, that I wanted to share with the Senate, which is relevant for the investigation. There's no Russia collusion here. It's just documents.
Okay, can you tell me can you give me a preview of what's in those documents?
Talks about the crimes in Ukraine. One of them, who we all know, Burisma, and what they wanted to find out from the Ukrainian government. Talks about high arranged meetings for them in the prosecutor's office and how they tried to get the prosecutor to get the Burisma case dropped. All of that is on those emails. Some of them already gave the Senate. Some I needed a subpoena for because I had an undisclosure agreement, and that's what we were waiting for yesterday, to get that subpoena, to file all the documents, to get my testimony, and get it over with.
Okay. So was this coming from Blue Star, or was this coming from the Democrats, Obama administration, or Biden?
This was coming from Blue Star, and they were connected to Biden by favors and by things Biden personally asked Sally and Karen Tramontano to do while they worked for Burisma.
Okay, so because I want to make sure that we're clear on something, and we're going to spend some real time. And I am so sorry today that, I mean, what you have to say is so important, but unfortunately, because the world's on fire, I've got to deal with.
I thank you for telling the truth. I thank you for telling the truth, and people watch you in Ukraine also. So thank you.
No, I think what's happened to your country and our country is just unbelievable. When you went in for that White House meeting that we've talked about before, you all were brought over, all the prosecutors and everything were brought over, and it was to, hey, let's learn how American justice can help clean up your country. And it turned into something where you said it was really just to get dirt on the campaign for the Donald Trump campaign and what was his name, Paul Manafort. And you said that when you were pulled off to the side, this group was pulled off to the side, what you saw wasn't about anything other than Paul Manafort. Can you verify that and tell me about how you believe now Chalupa, not Chalupa, but Caramella, the whistleblower that shall not be named, and others in that meeting that organized it, that they were doing this at the request of Biden?
Yes, because they were working direct for Biden. They were not doing this on their own. They were in the National Security Council, advisors to the Vice President of the United States, Joe Biden, Liz Ventos, Eric Tremonella, and a third person. They talked about party allegiance, Manafort, and getting prepared for the Black Ledger, the allegedly Black Ledger investigation.
So this was the vice president using his office and the National Security Council to actually target a presidential candidate.
Yes.
And do you have documents or anything else that can prove that in your testimony that you wanted to share with the Senate?
I have the letter from the Department of Justice that invited those prosecutors over. I have a schedule by the Department of Justice where it says where the meeting took place, 1600 Penn Avenue.
Yeah.
And they have names, Eric Tremonella, Liz Ventos, from the National Security Council, who are there put in the schedule. It's stated in the schedule who were there meeting with those prosecutors. And then I have other witness testimonies from the prosecutor who was there, Lazar Kolzinski, confirming that 2 weeks later when he came back to Ukraine, the U.S. Embassy told him again to look into Paul Manafort and the alleged Black Ledger.
Do you have any idea I mean, have you talked to Ron Johnson about this? Is there any movement to get this back onto the docket so you can actually share your testimony?
From what I understand, I did not talk to Mr. Johnson yet, but I was in contact with the staff, and they did ask for more documents to come in. I did share with them some of the documents which I talked to you about right now, and it's just, from what I understand, from what I hear in Washington, it's going to continue.
Okay.
But
we
all have to be smart to continue it in the legal right manner.
Correct.
So it won't be also politicized by the Democrats.
Okay. So, Andrii, I really, really appreciate you talking to us. If there's any way that we can help you, please let us know. If there's, we'll reach out to Senator Johnson's office today as well. We've got to try to get this blockage. Maybe we should try some colon blow on Romney. But if we can get that blockage.
Senator Johnson needs your support.
Yes.
Senator Johnson needs your support and people's support because he's fighting for the truth.
Right. Okay. So I would love to spend more time with you. Thank you for spending a few minutes with us today. Andrii Telizhenko, a Ukrainian, at one point high-ranking official in their justice system, working for the prosecutors that Biden smeared. And this is something we must get to the bottom of. Romney. Thank you, Mitt.